Fontaine Maury Maverick was born in San Antonio, Texas on October 23rd in 1835. He is the son of Albert Maverick, a real estate investor, and Jane Louis Maury. He was a political and government administrator who served his country in more ways than one. He entered Virginia Military Institute in 1912, but after 1 year he left for the University of Texas, where he studied for the next 3 years. In 1916, he was admitted to the Texas State Bar and joined a law practice in San Antonio. But when the United States entered the First World War in 1917, Maverick enlisted in the Army and was commissioned as a lieutenant in the 157th Infantry 40th Division. In 1918, he was sent to France, where he saw action in some of the heaviest fighting undertaken by American forces. At St. Mihiel and the Argonne, he was severely wounded, receiving the Purple Heart and a Silver Star for gallantry. After recovering from his wounds, Maverick returned to San Antonio and the practice of law. In 1920, he married Terrell L. Dobbs, with whom he had 2 children. After 2 years, he tired of the law and went into the construction business. He also became involved in local politics and was a vocal opponent of the Ku Klux Klan. Throughout the 1920s, he spoke out for the rights of minorities, especially the Spanish-speaking people of San Antonio. With the stock market crash of 1929, he assumed an active role in local relief programs. He won election as tax collector of Bexar County in 1929 and again in 1931, an enthusiastic Democrat. He supported Franklin D. Roosevelt for the presidency early on, and after 1933 became an avid New Dealer. He also organized a group of insurgent House liberals who became known as the Mavericks. Unlike most Southerners, he was a strong supporter of civil rights and consistently endorsed anti-lynching legislation. Alone among many from his region, he enthusiastically backed Roosevelt's court packing plan in 1937. In addition, although he defended the Neutrality Act of 1835, after 1937 he was a strong supporter of the president's foreign policies. He had emerged from the First World War an avowed pacifist, but the rise of fascism in the 1930s led him to evaluate his position. Maverick's strong views usually caused controversy. In 1939, he ran for mayoralty of San Antonio and was elected on a fusion ticket with significant support from Mexican Americans, blacks, and the Congress of Industrial Organizations. Although he advanced a comprehensive program to improve public housing and public health, conservatives slowed his efforts. When he permitted an avowed communist to speak in the San Antonio Municipal Auditorium, opponents accused him of being a communist himself and blocked his re-election in 1941. Maverick held to his liberal views throughout his life. It could be argued that he was ahead of his contemporaries by at least one generation. He was a dedicated civil libertarian and advocate of minority rights. He was a strong proponent of antitrust policies and competition, who championed the cause of small business. He was a prophetic publicist who called for greater economic diversification in the western states and an end to their colonial economic dependence on the East. He also urged more extensive federal planning to attain full employment and economic prosperity along lines subsequently followed by both Democratic and Republican administrations. However, his unorthodoxy and brashness often alienated powerful political interests, and consequently his influence as a public servant was uncircumscribed. He nonetheless deserves recognition as a significant advocate of traditional liberalism in a rapidly developing corporate society.